Okay, we're going to do some tapping and we're going to base it on a fear that you might have. So what I'm going to do is, in order to help you, I want you to, you can either think about this or grab a pen and paper. You can play this video back and maybe that's the best way to do it, because I'm going to throw out some questions and then I'm going to tap along on your fear, Faster EFT, using the art of change, questions that I use when I work with people in order to establish what's going on. This is a bit different. If I was working with you, it would be a slightly different process. But if you can understand what we're doing when we're trying to make changes, it's very useful, and how the tapping works. So hopefully this video will serve some purpose for you. And then if you want to book with me, all you need to do is go to my Letting Go Techniques page, or look below the link in this video, which you'll be able to also access my information there. So what I'm going to suggest is that if you name a problem, if you name a fear, okay, and we all have fears, we're all human, and a lot of us have anxiety or panic or worries about the future. We have a fear of something happening. So if you can think of a fear and you can name that fear. So if you're going to write it down, then you write down what that fear is, okay? The next thing is that, how do you know, the question, how do you know you have this fear? So you're going to figure out how you know you have this fear. So it could be something that you've experienced before. For instance, it could be something that you've had in your past, that you've had a fear and you're afraid that it may come back, or you're afraid it may happen again, or there could be other things surrounding it. So have you ever experienced this fear before? Then the next question is that you're going to ask yourself, do you know anybody else who has this same fear as you? The exact same fear, or, you know, similar ideas of what that fear is. So if it's a family member, then write that down or think about it, because that fear may be a conditioned fear in you and actually not a fear that is real. It could be something that you're just afraid of because that's something you were brought up with or conditioned to believe. Very simple thing, like, you know, children, you know, if we're told, you know, you're not going to get any, I know this is really simple, but you're not going to get any presents from Santa Claus unless you're a good boy or girl. And then you grow up believing that, you know, we've got to be good, or, you know, we've got to be a particular way in order to receive things and or abundance in our lives, for instance. Then what does this, so the next question is what does this fear feel like? You know, what does it feel like to you? Does it, can you feel it in your body? You know, do you feel it in your throat? Do you feel it in your stomach? You know, think about that fear and feel what that fear is and where it's coming from. And then the next question is, what memories do you have to support this fear? So you might have a memory and say, well, I'm afraid of that, I'm fearful of that because, you know, it happened then, and that memory, or you might have 2 or 3 memories, or just one memory of why you think this fear is going to occur again, or that you have the fear. Next question is, if this problem or this fear was a person, who would it be? So it could be an archetype, it could be archetypal meaning. You know, the fear could be that it could be like, you know, a movie archetype, somebody that's really horrible and dangerous, like that's going to hurt you. So, or it could be somebody you know. Next question is, what do you believe about this fear? So what do you really, really believe about this fear? And I'll say this as well, because a lot of our fears never come to pass and they never occur. It's just that we fear them. So the things we fear generally don't happen, but we have the fear that something bad is going to happen. Then the next question, how bad could this fear get? So really look at that. So how bad could this get? You know, if you number your fear right now, and let's say that you feel afraid of something and you say the fear, well, it's a 5. Well, make it a 10. You know, imagine that the fear is like a 20 or a 30. Imagine it to be really, really bad. Next thing is how bad could this fear get? Let me turn that off. Okay, right, how bad could this fear get? And then the next one is, if this fear was 1,000 times worse, how bad would it be? Okay, I hope you're still here with me on this. You're either writing it down or you're thinking this through. You can do either. Then let's take this. Who are you without this fear? So fundamentally, we want to know, who are you? This fear is gone, it no longer exists, and it's not a problem anymore. Who are you? See yourself without this fear. How are you holding your body without this fear? How are you breathing without this fear? How are you feeling in your heart without this fear? So there you go. So now we're going to tap on what we've just done. So now I want you to think of this fear between 1 and 10 and imagine how bad this fear is. Make it a 10, make it really bad, step into the fear, and we're just going to do some tapping on this, okay? So, but first, get me, we're going to take a bunch of balloons or grab a tree. You can grab a tree, throw it over your shoulders, and let the tree fall, dead, gone, or grab a bunch of balloons, let the balloons go, balloons gone, 1, 2, 3, 4, pop, gone. Come back to me, and we're going to say, I release and let go all my sadnesses. I release and let go all my fears. I release and let go of all my trauma, all my resentment, all my guilt, all my judgments, all of my abandonments, all of the betrayal, all of my helplessness, all of my hopelessness, all these feelings of no control, all of the rejection, all of the shame, and all of the secrets, and anything else that's supporting this fear. I release and let it go. It's safe to let it go. And as I let it go, my whole world changes. Now, go with me. Think of a really beautiful memory in your mind. It could be stepping into a beautiful place or a memory, sunshine, water, and grab your wrist and say the words peace. Breathe in, breathe out, and you can close your eyes to do that if you want, and really just turn up the colors and feel what you feel, all this beauty around you and safety, and the fear has just slipped away. It's no longer there. Okay, now come back to me. Now look at the fear, this thing that you fear. Between 1 and 10, how much does it bother you? Okay, so think of that in your head. How much does it bother you between 1 and 10? So if you have, for instance, it should be going down. It should be, you know, if it was an 8, then maybe it's a 6. So you can ask yourself then, so why is it still a 6? How do I know? Why, maybe not the best question, but how do you know it's still a 6? And then maybe think about how you know. You could say, for instance, I'm afraid, this fear, it might still happen. I release and let it go. This fear that I keep thinking about, that I keep looping in my head, it's safe to let it go. It's safe to let this looping around this fear go. I'm always living in fear. Most of my fears have never come to pass. Few of my fears have come to pass, but not all of them have come to pass. I am safe. I'm able to walk through anything. There is nothing to fear. There are people that can help me. There are people that love me. And there are people that care for me. And there are people that need me. And there are people that will help me. I have nothing to fear. This fear, it's safe to release this fear. Okay, so now again, step in, follow me into the beautiful memory, turn up the colors, make it really beautiful. Breathe in, breathe out, and say the words peace. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go back now and look at the fear. How much does it bother you between 1 and 10? So the idea is you get it down to, I don't know what it is for you. It could be a 2. Say, so how do you know it's a 2? So then you go round again and say, this remaining fear, wherever I'm holding it in my body, and for whatever reasons I'm holding on to this fear, I release and let it go. And it's safe to let it go. Okay? Then grab your wrist, breathe in, breathe out, step into the colors, make it beautiful. Okay? Then look at the fear. So let's just, as an example, say the fear is a 1. You've got it right down to a 1. Okay? Then you basically can say, this one fear, I'm losing this fear. I don't need this fear. And it's safe to release this fear I've been carrying. The fear of fear. It's time to let it go. So play this back, okay? Go into peace. Okay, peace, peaceful memory. So the ultimate thing is what we're trying to establish is to get any issue or problem down to a 0. And I have to add to this that with some cases of complex PTSD, you know, there are the work that I've been reading on and studying and doing, that there are some cases where if there's been heavy-handed abuse as children, there's grieving work to do, yeah, there's angering work to do. So when we look at any tool, it's not a one-hit wonder. We've got to look at the totality of our lives and put our cards on the table. And we also need to look at our future of what we want. We need to look at our health, how we're looking after ourselves, the foods we eat. We need to look at our financial status, not status, but what is comfortable for us. You know, are we meeting our own needs? We need to look at our relationships. Are they happy? Are they unhappy? Have we got sadness? What do we need to tidy up in our lives? We need to look at the totality when we're going through life, because the more we do that and clean up in all areas, and we clean up our room, as Jordan Peterson would say, when we clean up, because the room is us, when we clean it all up, eventually we become stronger and we're able to step into life and deal with it. And when something comes up like fear, you know, we get to be pragmatic and practical about it. So I would say, learn this tool, learn tapping. I do sessions. You can learn, there are videos. You don't have to have a session with me, but if you feel you don't understand it or you can't comprehend what's going on, then experiencing a session can be very fruitful to you. And then from that, you can begin to help yourself. And then I can suggest as well a book on complex PTSD for people who have had heavy childhood trauma that need to recover from that, because that's not a one-hit wonder, you know, like that is, you know, there is grieving work that has to be done there. And I know that myself at a very deep level. And also, you know, meaning that there's nothing wrong, that there's a lot to deal with. There's nothing wrong that there are some things that take longer to recover from than others. But tapping is definitely a tool to keep us out of anxiety, to recontextualize and memories that have been really painful for us. And for some of us, it's easier than others. We're all at different levels. We're all at different levels in our lives. And on a soul level, if we believe in the soul, then we're all at different levels there. And we're all on track as long as we keep working on ourselves, and that we are conscious that we need to work on ourselves. And that, you know, nobody's going to ultimately fix us, but there's some beautiful knowledge in this world. And bit by bit, and step by step, and day by day, we can really turn our lives around. Okay? Thanks for watching. Thank you.